Good afternoon. You're listening to Cannabis Corner on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We are streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook and YouTube. Just go to your Facebook page, look us up, or hit see first to see and hear all the great programs we have here on WNHH. LP. And Cannabis Corner is also streaming live on the Greenhaven Media Facebook page and YouTube page and procannabismedia.com. Make sure you go over there, like, subscribe, and share to all the great stuff we got going on with Greenhaven Media. Welcome, everybody. It is Monday, January the 27th. 2024. I am your host, Joe LaChance, Joe the Weed Guy. Welcome to Cannabis Corner. I am flying solo right now. Uncle Lou, of course, is in the middle of opening up his dispensary. I'm sure he will be joining us soon, but we do have a great guest on today. It's Ellen Brown, and she's going to be coming on in a minute. But, since I am flying solo, I figured we'd have a little bit of fun today. And I wanted to let everybody know that, contrary to what I usually say, I actually went to a recreational dispensary this weekend. I stopped by Butter, B-U-D-R dispensary up in Stratford. Very nice place. Nice people in there, kind of a cool vibe. As far as the dispensary goes, is pretty standard fare. But I did decide that I wanted to pick up a couple of things and check them out on the air. So I picked up, much to my chagrin, I did spend money. Hopefully I can get it back as research, as a tax deduction. By the way, I want to give you guys a tip. For anybody who is in the cannabis industry, if you have a good accountant, talk to him. If you are like in the cannabis industry, like if you're an owner, or if you are a dispensary worker, a bud tender, etc. If you have, if you are bona fide in the industry, and you can see if you can deduct your cannabis products as research. I know when I was in the entertainment industry, my accountant told me that any albums I bought, any concerts I went to, anything that had to do with music, I could deduct as a tax deduction as research. So you ought to talk to your accountants and see if that your purchase of cannabis products would qualify as research. It would be very, very interesting to find out. Uncle Lou, there you are. I have a question for you. You're
What's
in the
up,
cannabis
brother?
industry, bona fide, an owner, right?
I am a bona fide owner. I don't know. I'm servant of all, is what I
Yeah.
like to say, brother.
So I know when I was in the music industry, right? My accountant told me that anything that I did that had to do with music. So that means if I bought an album, if I went to a concert, anything that I did that had to do with music, if I bought a magazine, a periodical, any subscriptions I had could be tax deductible as research. Okay, that's what it was qualified as, research. So now my question to you is, as a bona fide cannabis owner in the business, can you deduct, let's say, purchases of product, conferences, any magazines that industry subscriptions, let's say, to the NCIA or to any of these organizations, can you deduct those from your taxes as research?
No.
Now, what is different about the cannabis industry than the music industry?
It's federally illegal. And so there's a tax code 280E. And we have to stay compliant with 280E because of the way that we make money. And there are some states They have enacted some exemptions. Connecticut is a state that locally recently passed that, as well as some other states. So it's about 280E compliance, and because of that, the way that we earn our money,
Mhm.
um, the banks charge you a fee on top of it. Um, some banks charge anything from $500 to $1,000 a month, and that's another thing. So because the 280E isn't compliant and the state hasn't made it the tax write-offs or cost of goods allowing us to do those things, we still have to pay the taxes on the item and then pay for more taxes on top of it. So you can write off any of those things, but they give you a percentage of that write off, usually equal to a tax bracket that you're into. Correct me if I'm not correct there, Joe. I think they allow you to write off up to a certain amount. So if
Yeah,
they say
there was a limit. I mean,
right, so like
I didn't go crazy with it. I didn't want to red flag them.
yeah, so if they say that travel food for
Yeah,
entertainment
food.
is X amount, and you're allowed to deduct up to $500 a year for this, or up to $1,000 a year. Technology upgrades, you're able to deduct like $1,000 a year or something like that. We don't get to qualify for any of that stuff, so we wouldn't get any money back or anything. There are some there are some legislations that are trying to go through that would help save that. And if we were able to start writing some of those things off, it could help lower the prices of cannabis in the state. You know what I mean? So it'd be a
Absolutely.
win-win for everybody. But as of right now, we don't have that ability. Um, but Connecticut just passed that, if I'm not wrong, last year. And then federal government is the Safe Banking Act, which would allow that to happen. And we've heard of the Safe Banking Act for a couple of years now.
Right,
You
and they've been
know,
trying to get that through, and it's always, always kinds of BS.
right. So there's a couple that go in there. But yeah, so in the tax time, this is one of the things that makes cannabis a little bit more expensive in the states is the not having any of the tax write-offs to allow you to do any business. So it's
Yeah, right.
tough.
No, I got you. So, all right. So, what you're saying is, until it's federally descheduled or legal, there's not a lot of tax deducting that you can do within the cannabis industry, other than,
Right.
like you say, the standard entertainment, which you can do in almost, when you buy somebody dinner and things like that. As long as you talk about business, you can deduct it. Um, but other than that, you really can't push the envelope too far because it's federally legal, and that's the difference between the music industry, say, and the weed industry.
Right.
So good. I'm
Exactly, Joe.
glad you clarified that. But the reason I brought that up was I in the beginning I was telling I went to Butter this weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and I decided to support the legal industry. Actually, put a little money into them. Isn't that
Look at you,
nice?
Joe.
Yeah, because I want to do some research.
Yep, 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 yep. It's research and it's
So I
tough.
picked up two things.
Yep.
I picked up a pre-roll, and
Okay.
this is from CPS, and it was a $16 pre-roll. It wasn't cheap.
No, 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 definitely not.
And it's from CPS, and it
That's Connecticut
is,
Pharmaceutical Solutions.
yes, and it is a savory diesel train wreck.
Oh
Okay.
man.
So this is how many THC is here? 22.29% THC. And it cost me 16 bucks. And it says this is a high potency cannabis products which may increase the risk of psychosis. So, I'm looking at it. There it is.
I
Pretty
wanted to
generic.
cause psychosis.
Yeah, I'm gonna light it up and we're gonna see if I get psychotic.
Oh, I
Uh,
love it, Joe. This is,
More than I already
something
am.
we've been talking about, doing live product reviews. So look at the package again, because I just want to show something. And there's a
Generic.
whole thing. There is a whole 65-page document that says why packaging has to be just like this.
Yeah,
So
generic. It's very generic.
no, no, no. What's does it need? What would you call? It's a joint package,
Yeah,
Joe.
that's a joint
What
package.
what would you call something extravagant? A glass bottle with a tip
No,
and a
no, no,
Velveeta
no, not
pack,
the
or
it's actually a better um container than you get, say, elsewhere.
it's not
I'm
a
more
pop
talking
top,
about the
right?
labeling. It's just
Well, the
white,
label
you
is
know?
plain. It's a medical label, but just
Yeah,
about, you know what I
that's
mean?
all. I'm not talking about the container itself. And just like the gummies, my comment with the gummies was these are from the Happy Confection.
Oh, like, we had them on. They're the mom
Yeah,
and
and then
pop.
that's
They're
why I
nice
bought them.
little.
I wanted to support them.
Good,
They're
good,
nice
good.
people. But they had such beautiful coloring, and all their products looked like they were labeled so nice, you know, when we showed them on air and all that. And
Oh
if you
yeah,
look
yeah.
at their
That's the
website,
Massachusetts.
and then you get in there, and then the package you get is this
Well, that's what
white
the state
generic.
requires. The state
That's what I'm
requires.
saying.
Yeah. So that's not
White
on.
generic.
So that's not, again, that's not on the brands. They've taken away a lot of that marketing from us because they don't want it to appeal, quote unquote, appeal to kids. So they just want it boring.
Well, guess what? It doesn't appeal to adults either.
Right. You
Do
know?
they know we
So
like colors? We like things. I mean, I don't know.
they
I
don't
don't know where their
care.
head's at. But anyway, so that was my one comment on it. It was just the labeling was very generic compared to what I saw in Mass, where it was very just normal looking labeling. People were allowed to brand their stuff. What I'm saying, you're not allowed to even brand your stuff here. You don't get to brand it. So anyway, I want to try one of these on the air. This is their cherry limeade, chillaxing cherry limeade. It contained 2.93 milligrams per piece. So I could probably eat 10 of these and not even feel it. But they're vegan. And what I liked about them is it says right on here, they break down in your stomach very easily. So I like that. So let's take a look at this before I light up the joint. These are pretty nice. Happy
Yep.
confection.
Those are round. They're just round.
We're from.
Yep.
We're 20 of them. It says distilled cannabis oil, hemp derived lyes resin, terpenes, CBD isolate, CBG isolate, and CBT isolate. What is CBT, Lo?
You got me on that one off the top of
And
my
it's all
dome. But
organic sugar, natural flavor, citric acid, fruit juice, actual fruit juice. So it looks like it tastes pretty good. Consistency's all right. I actually like it. It breaks down easy.
what is it
So we'll
using? Is
see.
it gelatin, agar, or what is it?
It's more. It's like you ever had a vegan gummy? How they
Yeah, so
break
that's what I'm
down? They're
asking
not
you.
as
So it's
chewy.
agar more than,
Yeah,
what does it
yeah,
say?
agar. Yeah. This says tapioca, so it's
Yep.
tapioca.
It's, yeah, so that's
It's
it's
tapioca and
fishbone.
pectin.
Yep,
Yeah,
pectin. Yeah.
it's a little different than your normal gummy, but I kind of like this
Oh
texture
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it does break down better in your stomach. So they're good. Taste wise, they taste like cherry limeade. They're really nice. Obviously it's only 3 milligrams, so I don't expect it to do much, but they're nice. Very nice. So I
Okay.
give that a good grade. Now let's try this. So here's the CPS joint. Looks like that. Regular, nice, 1 gram. This is sour, so it's supposed to be a sativa. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how sativa it is. Did you see that
Was the
video?
top was the top packed in there and everything?
No, it was a little loose. I had to, I had to
Did you
tighten it
pack
up
it
a
at
little.
least? Did you pack it up at
Yeah.
least? All right. Just wondering if you're gonna give it a fair shot, if you made sure the consistency was good and stuff, you know.
Yep. I looked at it last night. It's tastes decent. I can't complain. Hi, Ellen. We're gonna get you on in a minute because I read an article, and this is great conversation for us about that new
Go ahead.
plant they found that has CBD in it.
Very cool, very cool. I can't wait to hear
Yeah,
all
we'll
about
talk
it.
about that because this could change the game. Take it right out of the hemp regulators' pockets.
Happy New Year, Joe. Happy New Year, Lou.
Happy
How are
New
you?
Year.
Hey, how's it
So
going
this
there?
is decent.
All right, good. You got a nice decent joint there. It should be a decent joint for $16. You
I
know?
got to tell you, it hits a little hard. It's tightly packed.
So tightly packed, okay. Maybe
Yep.
that's because we did say just now that we made sure to pack it up again a little
Yes, I did bang it. It's tightly
bit.
packed.
You know? That's why I was asking. It looks like it's getting an even smoke too, you know?
Yep,
Is it
not
from
too
your
bad.
farm?
No,
This
no,
is a
not at all. This is
dispensary
a
joint
dispensary joint.
Ah,
from
So he's
CT
doing
Pharma.
some
We're testing it. I went and did a little
quality
field trip this
control.
weekend.
quality control.
All right,
We
it's
have
not
to, you
bad.
know?
I'll give it a B. I'll give it a B. You know why? Because it doesn't have a strong flavor. You get a good hit, but the flavor, like I like a nice sour flavor. This said it was sour. I'm not getting that, but it's decent. I mean,
Okay.
I'm sure I'll get high from it.
Yeah.
But you know,
You better.
but before I bring Ellen on, I want to go over a couple quick events, real quick for the people. Tonight over at the Grove, they have Canna Yoga,
Canna
and that is
yoga.
at 6:30 p.m. with what used to be Salt and Oil Yoga. That's the
Now,
first time down there at the Grove. We'll be down there. We provided the goodie bags, and I just want everybody to know, anybody who comes tonight gets a nice free pair of Joe the Weed Guy sunglasses. So they should be happy with that. That's part of their goodies in the goodie bag. Just letting out a little surprise. Okay. And then she also has one going at Fine Federal on February 2nd. And then I see a big event coming up within 2 weeks, Lou. You announced it, the grand opening of Nautilus Botanicals. So, there are other events coming on, but I think this is probably the most important one right here. So Lou, this is a big deal. You finally announced that your grand opening is coming in February. I would say probably within the next 2 weeks, correct? I know you don't have an exact date yet, but I think this is a big announcement. For you to announce it in public is great. So congratulations. I think that's the best event of the month right there. Is going to be the grand opening of Nautilus Botanicals, which will probably be, if I had to guess, what, the 14th, right on Valentine's, right? We're going to give them a little present. Oh, unmute.
oh, sorry. So we're gonna have a soft opening. That's what that is. But the grand opening, if everything does go well, knock on wood, there's no extra issues or anything, which so far has been pretty smooth. For what we can imagine. So that would be February 15th.
That's what
That's
I
the
was thinking.
Saturday, and that's what
Perfect.
yeah. So we'll have some people down here. We'll have some representatives. We'll have a live painting going on. There's going to be a coffee truck outside giving away some nice little specialty coffees. A Latina owned coffee cart
Nice.
from the local area is going to be here. Then we're going to help empower some other local artists. We have Shady Dankinson. Shady Danky is doing the
Thank you,
artwork.
right? Doing some
Yep.
paint, right?
Yep. She's got her artwork that's going to be hanging up here for as a gallery style, and then other artists afterwards will be able to put some stuff up here and rotate out every month or so.
You're gonna have a couple little pop up people there too.
Yep. Luna Cauldrons is going to be here. Our friend Luna. We're just trying to support all the local women-owned, community-owned, and minority-owned businesses. So those individuals that have been doing it a long time have kind of been rocking and rolling with us. Joe the Weed Guy will be there for his.
Joe the Weed Guy will be there with
Joe the Weed
bells
Guy will be here.
on. I
Joe
will
will
be
be with us.
partying.
Joe will be with us as well. That'll be a party day, but you could, Joe will
Oh yeah,
be here
that's the
doing his
part,
thing.
right? But yes, you will see me there
Yeah,
hanging
we
out
support
working. I'm gonna,
we support our people, and our people are definitely going to roll with us and support with us. So,
and then that is going to be presented by Sun to Moon. Am I correct? They're going to help us,
yeah, they're helping us out with that as
and
well.
they're a great promotion company. Been doing a lot of cannabis events around.
Well, it's a lot of ancillary events as well.
Yes,
So like
they
sneakers,
do
art,
everything,
yeah,
right?
a
Weddings,
little bit of
everything.
all weddings, all that stuff. So they definitely this is just one of the avenues, but they really are helping bring some positivity into the space where it's not just the same events over and over. So it's
Yeah, and they
nice.
are
There's going to
coming
be
on
yeah, they're coming up soon.
on
So
the
while you're
10th,
looking,
so we'll
yep,
have more details by then.
yeah, we'll have a lot of details. I know there's somebody painting a shoe, because I guess shoe painting is a big thing too in the kind of
Yeah, that
cultures
Art
and
and
everything.
Soul, isn't that pretty
Yeah,
big? I know they have
that's
something coming up actually very soon, Art and
yeah.
Soul. Those
So
guys
that
are great.
they're a nice couple there. So I'm excited. What else we got going on, Joe? Because if not, we'll just keep rambling over and over and
No,
over.
we're gonna get Ellen on. That was pretty much it. We got with us Ellen Brown, the owner, founder of Green Path Training. Ellen is a military veteran, industry pioneer, Air Force veteran, college professor with an extensive background in cannabis regulations. She's currently serving on the Massachusetts Cannabis Advisory Board as the expert in cultivation and chair of the research subcommittee. She's a big deal.
She is.
Designated participant in the DAA hearing to reschedule cannabis, pioneering state certified training by becoming the first approved vendor in the state of Vermont and one of the first approved responsible vendor trainers in Massachusetts. She founded Green Path Training, which is also a women-owned business that has been trailblazing cannabis education since 2015. She's taught thousands of students on a myriad of topics, including retail, delivery, cultivation, curriculum. Green Path collaborates with academic institutions, nonprofit, for-profit, and state agencies to create specific training on cannabis, hemp, and career development. Ellen Brown, what a pleasure to see your pretty face. I love seeing you. It's been so long since I've given you a hug.
Oh my gosh, my friend, it has been too long. It has been too long. Thank you so much for having me here. And I was thinking as you're going through this, remember we started with Northeastern Institute of Cannabis so many years ago. I've known you for almost a decade, my dear friend.
Yes,
At least a decade. How
it
lucky am
was
I? Yeah,
2014. Yeah,
yeah.
2015 when you started there. Yes, absolutely. 10 years, Ellen.
10 years, and we're all still growing and moving forward. So I'm grateful to get to do what I love, which is education and policy reform. And I'm so excited that Lou's opening up the store and Joe's Coffee's going amazing. Like we're all, we're growing, we're branching, we're doing what we love, and we're still staying connected together all these years later. So, how nice is this?
Yeah, and I mean, just from when we started, you have come a long way as well.
Yeah.
You've got Green Path
Thank
training,
you
but now
guys.
you're also like working with the government.
Yeah, man.
The advisory board is really great because we get to look at the regulations and then talk with other people that are a part of the advisory board and really phone in on how we can create the most impactful regulations for the Commonwealth. So it's really it's an enriching process and it's an educational process and it's something that I hope that everybody starts to look at what we're doing and see, hey, how can we work with the advisory board? How can we work directly with the commissioners when they ask for feedback from the public? Because your feedback helps to create the regulations that create the industry that we're in. So just getting to be a part of the process is something that I'm really grateful for. And I'm looking forward to hopefully in February or March, we'll have our first 2025 meeting of the research subcommittee and we'll keep making recommendations and hopefully getting them implemented. We're now into the 194th session, my friend. It's getting
Wow.
started.
Wow.
So the next 2 years, we're going to have a whole bunch of amendments to look at and see what can we do to get them passed.
Yeah, we're looking at that in Connecticut. Somebody said there's over 17 cannabis bills in. I'm going to get somebody on the air to sort through it when the time comes. But right now, it's at that stage where everybody's throwing their stuff in the hat, all kinds of crazy stuff, that they, from different sides of the fence. But of course, some of them will get weeded out. But there's a lot of stuff. It seems like cannabis is like their play toy. Like there's more cannabis bills in than anything else. It's like they don't care about anything
Your
else.
state has it so hard because you don't have a direct agency to oversee the governance of your
There's
emerging
like three
industry.
different
So
people. You got
the
the
Department of Consumer Protections definitely needs to, they do a lot of really great work for the state, but I think that where a miss was not having the Connecticut Cannabis Control Commission to have that be a full-time job to oversee both medical and adult use, because as we see in Connecticut, as we see in Massachusetts, and as we see in other states where there is an adult use program, our medical program suffers. And for all of us, I think our hearts stay with the medical
right.
patients. So what can we do to make sure that, the programs run parallel and that they're both successful, and our hemp program? So 1, 2, 3, and then
Yeah.
more. And when we think about how to be equitable, how to be inclusive, how to have our small farmers, there's so many different components to the conversation. So I'm so grateful that you guys are here to foster these conversations with different people within the community to keep it going, sparking it up, my friend.
Well, yeah, well, always sparking it up. That's for
I know you. I've
that's for
known you.
sure. But You know what I'm seeing out there, and there was actually people should watch this. There was a great video that came out. It was on the news about the state of the cannabis industry in Connecticut. It was about a 13-minute video, and they went into it. And I think the state here of Connecticut, after our third year here, we're getting into, is starting to have that come to Jesus moment. Like they're starting to realize that we got to make some changes here because we're not competing with our neighbors. That's where Connecticut made its mistake. They forgot that there's neighboring states that people can go to. And they got to realize they have to compete and they have to start giving some value. And the fact that it's out there on the news, there's been many articles written about it. I think this session, they really have to reckon with that. You know what I mean? And a lot of this legislation I'm looking at doesn't necessarily do that. But I mean, Lou, you even as an owner, you know, there are certain things that would make it more, just like we were talking about with the packaging earlier, more desirable for people to stay in Connecticut and keep their money in Connecticut instead of sending it out to other states, you know. And that would be obviously one thing would be value. But that's my biggest word is value. And I think Connecticut has to realize they have to provide value for their people. And they are. And I have faith that between the activists and between the new legislators we have in there, that maybe they'll come to some kind of realization that things. So we'll see.
And anything I can do to help, anytime there's the opportunity to testify or send in testimony, I'm here, I'm happy to help. Your neighbor's not too far.
You there, Lou? Oh, he's totally he's looking at something. Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with you. But now one thing you did mention was hemp, right? Um, and I don't know if Lou's talking to us or if he's talking to somebody on the phone. One thing you did mention was hemp. And in Connecticut, that's another whole side that they are really ripping apart. Now we're talking about they're trying to classify CBG, CBN, and all the minor cannabinoids as THC. So it's another step of overregulation that is totally unnecessary, and it just shows how little they really, really know about this plant, its medical benefits, and what its real purpose is. They just see it as money, as a cash cow.
Michael Goodenough made a really great point when he spoke with the legislators about this problem, and he said, "Hey, I'm like a fourth, like I swear it was like a seventh generation, but that almost sounds like almost too far back to be true." Like he's like, "I'm a fourth generation farmer here in the state of Connecticut. This is my family farm. We're trying to keep the farm in the family. I can't afford. I've converted my crop to a hemp crop, and what you're doing with the CBD regulation is killing my ability to cultivate this hemp for its purpose to be cultivated and turned into products." So you're putting out small farmers, you're putting out small businesses, you're putting out multi-generational farmers, small businesses, and veterans. And the legislator, it did not seem to make a difference with some legislators, but with other legislators it did. And I do know that there's been some
There's a
changes with the
shift.
state
Yeah,
house.
some
So
people have
I do
left.
think that new people hearing from the people that have stayed in the industry, like hearing from Michael Goodenough, be like, "Hey, I'm holding on for dear life, but I'm still here. What can you do to work with me?" We're the people that we voted in to help us. So please, like, help us, multi-generational farmers, small farmers, veterans, local businesses. There are so many things that were not considered when your regulations went in about that. No, and those egregious standards for the CBD percentage and the serving
Yeah.
sizes, it just, you're not set up to win, you're not set up to be successful, and it's not set up to actually be beneficial for the medicinal purpose. Because I would need at least if each serving size is 5 milligrams and I need at least 30 milligrams to feel a medicinal dose, like what are you expecting me to one, two, three, four, five, eat like 6 pieces of candy? How many pieces of candy you want me to eat?
I
And
know
also
we were.
it's
I bought
crazy.
the
And that's if
gummies
it's
at the
30.
dispensary, 3 milligrams.
What if it's a
What is this
hundred?
gonna do
What
for
if
me?
it's
I'm
a
gonna
hundred?
there's 60 milligrams in this whole bag.
You want to eat the whole bag? Somebody
I can
might
eat the
need
whole
that, and it's not
bag.
supposed to be for judgment. Like some people might need 50 milligrams, 90 milligrams, 100 milligrams, 500 milligrams, 1,000 milligrams. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to make sure that the products are available for those that need it for the medicinal value and uses of these higher milligram products. Don't take
Right.
them out of the market and make them available to those that need it. I can't believe that happened to your state this way. And it's scary because I don't want my state to look, you're a bad influence. I'm like,
Well,
don't look at the
yes,
state of
but that's
Connecticut.
the problem. Other states do because
Yes, and I don't
they
want them
followed
to.
other states with the Delta
Yeah.
8 and all that. No, it's really a bad precedent, and it's something I hope we can stop in its tracks. And but this is
And
what I
move
wanted to bring
backwards.
up was this new plant. Have you heard about this?
Tell me
Now, this
everything.
came
Tell me
in a
everything.
science, it is science alert. It is says here, cannabis compound discovered inside totally different plant. Scientists have discovered cannabidiol compound in cannabis known as CBD in a common Brazilian plant, common, opening potential new avenues to produce the increasingly popular substance. The team found CBD in the fruits and flowers of a plant known as Tremolo microcauda whatever, a shrub which grows across much of the South American country. So it's considered a weed. So in other words, it's in abundant supply. Um, and what they're saying about this, it does not have THC in it. So my my question to you now with this, with a whole new plant, and what they don't understand is there are other plants that have THC in them too. And there are other plants. It even says here scientists had previously found CBD in another plant in Thailand. So if there are other ways to get CBD, which is what we want, right? We want those cannabinoids. We want the cannabidiol. And there are other plants to get it from, right? What is to stop us, whoever us is, from producing CBD with these other plants and completely taking it away out of the hands of the hemp regulators, out of the hands of the cannabis regulators, because it's no longer a cannabis or hemp product, but yet it's still CBD. Is this a feasible way to totally kind of shake it up a little bit and let them know there's not a monopoly on CBD, like they don't have it? I mean, can we take advantage of this somehow?
That's a great question. And it's important when we look at plants, when we think about different chemical compounds that can be found in cannabis or different varietals of other plants, different species of other plants. Then we'll have to think about, are they just going to start going after the chemical molecule and moving away from the cannabis sativa L and things like that? They might completely strip away the plant component and just phone in on the chemical molecule, like they have been when we try to do things like the different kinds of the THC. So we're talking about not just Delta 9, but when we start to talk about Delta 8, well, now we've switched it up because it's the 8 instead of the 9. So we've for this small period of time, we've outsmarted or out whatever the regulations, and then the regulators catch up and they go, oh, and THC, and Delta 8 and this and that and everything else. So they'll catch up with regulations. So we might have a short period of time where there could be an influx, but the regulators will catch up just as quickly when they figure
They
out
are. They're
what
pretty.
we're doing and how we're doing it. So I
We
think it
always got
would
to stay one freaking step ahead of them. Do you know what I mean? But we always are.
if we can make, and maybe it makes it less, if the trepidation is, well, it's only from this one plan and that makes it scary for some reason,
Right.
then being like, well, wait, look at this new plan that you didn't learn about in the DARE program and haven't heard any propaganda
Bad
on,
things
look, this can
about,
do
right?
something
It doesn't
well.
get you high
Yeah. And
because there's no psychoactive effects from it.
And I hate the idea of like the vilification of THC. Like THC is my favorite compound, my favorite chemical compound. Like, and I honor what CBD can do and CBG can do and all of the chemical compounds can do. That's wonderful, and everybody should find the best cannabinoid profile for them. But for myself, that psychoactive component, that THC is a necessary component. So I would always want to work in like, hey, how do we keep that without it being like the scarier of the two options? I think that we should try to go for acceptance of all cannabinoids and looking at it like, well, what can we learn from THC? What can we learn from CBD? What can we learn from CBG? How can these help different ailments? How can these help different people as opposed to the reefer madness of, you'll
Right.
sneak it and jump out a window or something like that. It's just the propaganda doesn't match what we're seeing states doing or the anecdotal evidence that we're finding for our patients, be it any chemical compounds that are found in cannabis. So all of the cannabinoids are working for people for a variety of different reasons. What we're doing is we're hurting ourselves by not investing in research.
Right.
Yukon could kill it. You guys could kill it if I could get you guys some of those plants, some of those hemp plants, and then I could get you some of these awesome shrubs, and then we could do that research together and we could extract and compare notes. Oh my goodness. Why can't we? Because of the way it's regulated, because of how hard it is to get institutional review board approval, federal approval for federal studies on a federally illegal plant. We're in such a hard situation where we have to outthink our regulators by one step because we're not able
Yes.
to do the necessary work that needs to be done to show the evidence to get us to where we need to be. It's almost like you have to beg for forgiveness later. It's a really weird place for us to be in instead of a working space of all
It's a
hands
cat
on
and
deck.
mouse game.
Let's pull apart. It's not going to work.
No, it's not. A cat and mouse game never works. Look at Tom and Jerry, you know. But of course, we always end up, what happens? Jerry always. Right.
Well,
And we do
I'm
usually.
proud of us. We keep fighting. You guys got legalization, you got home grow. You're moving. It feels and it is in some ways incremental, but it doesn't mean that it's not progress. You can't tell me his opening isn't something that, we got something
Oh,
to
no,
celebrate. You
that's
know what I
huge.
mean? So it's slow, my friend. My God, is it slow, but it's worth it.
I see him. He's looking at
A
the
brochure of
point
some
of
sort.
sale mailers that they put in the mail. I wonder if he's thinking about doing that. Because I
This
don't know if you know here, they have these mailers. You probably have them there, Massachusetts. They put them in your mailbox with all these coupons and different things in them. They're called the value pack or something like that. But the regulation didn't put that in there. Of course, they probably will now, as one of the ways that you're not allowed to advertise. So
Oh,
I've
that was a hard no
seen
to begin with. You guys get cannabis advertising in like the mail?
in the value packs. Yeah, I have
Wow. Oh, there we go. That's something we don't get. We do not get that.
coupons. You get coupons 10% off and stuff.
Very cool. Oh, wow. Are they, our regulations on the how we can do things and where we can do things, or if we've been doing them, I haven't seen them, but we have, cannabis billboards and things like that. I haven't heard any cannabis radio ads in a long time.
We have we the billboards are not allowed. However, smart people like Lou, who are near the highway, put their signs up on top of their building. So I've seen two so far that have done this. One was INSA, which is right off the highway at Long Wharf, and their sign is visible from the highway, almost like a billboard, INSA Cannabis. But it is part of their signage, so they get away with it. And then this new one, High People, just opened in Derby. I drove it by it the other day, and they have their sign way high. You can see it right off Route 8 as you're coming in. And so that's how they kind of get away with not doing billboards. Their actual signage is their billboard. And Lou has that opportunity as well. He's right off an exit, so I'm sure he is gonna be doing that as well.
Our I have a
Yeah,
sign
there
on the
he is.
side of the building. Sorry. Yeah, I have a sign on the side of the building that you can see kind of from Route 15. If you're looking over, you can see it. And then I have a post that you can see from the highway in like one of the areas. But I can hang a vinyl banner on the side of my bed or put a sign on the actual side of my building that's large you know what I mean, or as large as my building, as long as it doesn't go above 1 inch of my skyline or left or
Oh.
right of my building. Once it goes over an inch of my skyline, I have to apply for a variance with the town to put up my own sign, and then it wouldn't be able to go on a commercial billboard as long as it's our sign on our building. It just has to adhere to local zoning.
So yeah, that's how INSA and I saw High People do the same thing. They got their signs elevated up
Yeah,
so you can actually see them from the highway, but that's part of their signage.
right. And
It's
those
not a
signs
billboard.
were right, and those signs were there beforehand. So like there
Right.
was a
Right.
pizzeria sign where High People's
And
is. So
Long
you
Wharf Theater was right.
and Long Wharf Theater was on the Long Wharf side. The
That's
other way
exactly
around
right.
that is Affinity. Affinity has a very large banner that you can see from the highway, like around exit 25, 27 on the southbound side,
Of
on the side of the
95, right.
on 95, but it's on their building.
Right.
So it's their building. It doesn't raise it. It's just a big vinyl banner, and then Shangri-La you can see from the highway. And what they did was they painted their building pink.
Their colors, and I get it. Yeah.
The
See,
whole
so
building's pink, and yeah,
shout out to Jocelyn for doing
right, and yeah. And the
that.
town had an issue with it. They're like, "This is a crazy bright building in the middle," and then you meet Jocelyn. She's a bright person, so it
That's the
fits.
colors of her business. It's pink and
Yeah,
purple, you know.
that's it.
That's it. It's beautiful. See, so this is how we have to get around our regulators. They don't want
We
us
have to
doing
get
it.
around. It's hard that we have to get around. I wish that we could work with and they could be like, wow, here's an entrepreneur in a multi-billion-dollar industry just getting started. What can we do to help you? How can we facilitate? How can the town work with you? But I love it, find a way.
Yeah, because they're going to make money off it. I mean,
Yeah.
Lou's got to give them 2%, right?
It's 3%.
So they're going to make money off it. They might as well make as much as they can.
Support your small businesses. We should feel like we're a welcome part of our community. So I'm glad that she was able to find a way so that people can find her.
That's
Did you see
right.
Yeah,
this
and Lou
bright
too.
pink
Lou's going to
building?
have his blue and white colors. That's it.
Hey, no, nobody tops the bright building, and I respect that very much. It's got
Yep.
all types of free press came off of that one, so it's a great thing,
I
and it
saw
makes
you,
people
Lou.
feel welcoming.
Were you looking at the value pack thing before as advertising?
Oh,
Is
you
that
you you.
still allowed?
What is this?
Is
This
that
is
still
this is from Dutch Packaging.
yeah,
And they, it's here. Look,
Oh,
there's a
a
little
okay.
leaf
mailer,
leaf
right?
on it. Yep, it's a mailer. So there are contains marijuana on it. It's wide and open, but this is one way that companies can do some advertising, and it's a direct mailer to the licensees. So I have one here for Nautilus Botanicals, the cultivation, and I have one here for Nautilus Botanicals, the dispensary. So,
Now, are you allowed to do that to direct mail to consumers or no?
no. So you'd
So
also
you
have
can't
to,
get a
you
mailing
could,
list.
but as long as the company can verify that everybody on it is over the age of 21 and that children won't be receiving this directly. I think it's like 90% of the audience has to be over 21.
So
So,
Nolu, I used to get them in the value packs. You know the value pack that
yep,
you
I
get?
know exactly what you mean.
Did they stop that?
No, those still keep coming out, but cannabis can't advertise in them. You
Well,
know
they
what I mean?
did. I had coupons from Affinity and stuff in there.
Well, once again, if they can prove that the audience is over X amount of 21 and over, then
Yeah.
yeah, it could go in there.
Yeah, because I can imagine with you opening, you're starting to look into creative ways to market,
It's a huge
to get
thing.
around the regulations, right?
I'm very not get around, but work with it.
Work with them, yeah.
Work with it. Now that we are going through regulations, work with them, Joe, not against them.
Yeah,
We like,
around there with them, not around them. I get you.
and we want to make sure that at least our opening is as successful as possible because we need to be able to take care of those that do look to use our adult use market. There's still 50,000 patients, so there's still are 50,000 people that want to use our facilities. You know what I mean? And then
Yep.
all the adult users that come through, and we've had some really cool people. We're not open yet, but it's pretty interesting to see the individuals that come by and
Just
ask
to
us
check it out.
questions just to check it out, or didn't think we or thought we were open, so they were coming to purchase, but we had to turn them away until we're fully up and running. But it's pretty cool to meet these individuals, and it's people that I don't know, and it's people that are just
Yeah.
coming in because they found us online or heard about us or stumbled across something because we haven't been able to do much of a big push, even though we're hoping to. So I'm a small guy, small budget, no big budgets or anything. So trying to get the word to make sure that people come in is going to go a long way.
I also
Um,
think though, being an independent guy, you can get a little more creative. Like than say a corporately owned one where has to, they have corporate restrictions, on how the
yeah.
advertising has to look,
No,
how
I
it
just
has to
got
be.
whatever reputation, whatever the restrictions the state's putting on me is the limits that
That's
I'm
it.
going
But
with
you
it.
can,
Other
yeah,
than
you can
that,
be creative. I think it's great.
yep.
Send
So
out your
that's
flyer so we can share it. I would love to share it everywhere. I'll share it on
Oh,
every
but
single platform, my
I
friend.
just got one. I will send it out. We just sent an email to our community service partners because one of the biggest things that we're doing is making sure that our local community is taken care of. So I've got like we basically became the financier and um, volunteer supplier for one of the local community multi age non-denominational community centers. So they actually have a farm ID number as well. So the garden that we're able to put out, they can actually host and use and sell and make anything they want from there. So we're going to put a full garden back there. Um, so we're taking
nice.
care of their food pantry. We're making sure they got book bags for kids. We're doing a little bit of all of that. And then I'm giving my employees 20 hours of volunteer hours. So I will pay for them to take and volunteer someplace for 20 hours a year and we'll pay them for that time. So that way we
I'll
can
be
make
doing
sure
that.
people, right. And we want to
I
make
love
sure
that.
that, yeah. So then we have those different places. Then we have next level empowerment, which is our reentry housing and support community. So they will be working with it, people that are coming back through reentry to help provide housing and different services and get them all set up and provide a place that's cost effective because, just coming out after being in for such a long time, you have very limited funds, resources, and very limited fun places to go sometimes. So having a place with a very low rent while you're still being able to maintain yourself as an individual is big for that transition from justice impact for justice impacted individuals. So we're
Excellent.
we're creating a space that's inclusive of all the peoples that have been harmed by the war on drugs, and that's been one of my big things. So,
That's
um,
excellent, Lou. I'm so excited. You can't believe how happy I am that this is finally happening.
yeah,
But Ellen, I wanted to touch base. We got about 10 minutes left. DEA rescheduling. Where are we at with that? I know there's some big things going on in Washington. Do we have a chance at it? Tell us a little bit. I know that finally things are actually starting to happen. There's a hearing going on and things. Tell us a little bit about where we're at with that, and is there any hope?
There's a lot of moving parts right now. So what had happened is that there was the availability for the American public to apply to testify in support of rescheduling to Schedule 3 or just rescheduling or descheduling in general. And it was supposed to be a 5-minute testimony. And I think it was 167 different people and entities applied. And of those 167, 25 were chosen. About 13 against, 12 for. So, about a
Of
50-50 split.
course.
And then what ended up happening was the parameters changed well, it's no longer going to be a 5-minute testimony. Instead, what we're going to do is we would like those that were chosen, the designated participants, so myself and the other designated participants that were chosen by at the time, the DEA
So
administrator.
you were chosen to
I
clarify,
was
yes.
chosen, yeah. So it was,
The
and
chosen
I
one.
was honored for the opportunity. I was really looking forward. I was like, I'm gonna give a concise and educational 5-minute testimony on why we need to deschedule, and if we need to reschedule, let's look at Schedule 5 instead of Schedule 3. This is going to be an opportunity to speak directly with the governing body, the administrative law judge, who is going to be creating the recommendation that goes for consideration. So I was ready to testify for 5 minutes, and then the parameters changed to, well, now it's going to be a complete hearing. I know, like you hear
Leave it
like
to the
a pit stop.
government.
I was like, what has happened? So I keep joking. It's kind of like Gilligan's Island, like a 3 hour tour. Like this was supposed to be 5 minutes,
Not yet,
and
right,
now
right.
and now instead you have to, and in a good way, they're like, hey, we're giving you an opportunity to find someone who is a subject matter expert in two very specific categories. One, the 8-factor analysis of abuse for the substance, and number two is the current accepted medical uses. So the abuse potential and the current accepted medical uses. Pretty much who do you know that would be able to speak best to this? So I reached out to Dr. Marion McNabb, as she has a doctorate in public health. She has done cannabis research and she fully understands the current accepted medical uses here in the country, as well as if there were questions about addiction or abuse or public health concerns, she would be able to articulate why those concerns are something that we should be considerate of, but not something that should be to the detriment of rescheduling overall. So this is all in place, and then everybody picked their witnesses. Everybody had different witnesses, and then some of the people that were our opponents are people like Smart Approach to Marijuana was one of them,
Mhm.
and different groups and organizations that do drug testing, lobbying against cannabis, things like that. But on the pro side, we also have a veterans initiative. We have different groups that work NCIA, so different
Mhm.
groups and organizations here in the cannabis industry. So it's a very interesting mix of different people for and against, and what their groups and organizations do here in the industry. That being said, more voices was always, a needed part of the conversation. But right now, as it stands, here are here's the 25 people we got, and here's what we got to work with. So with that, who can you put in that would do the best with probative information, specifically as it relates to the 8-factor analysis and current accepted medical uses? So with that information, everybody picked their witnesses. Witnesses were approved. We were all 2 weeks away from the hearing starting. And then on January 6th, a motion was filed by a group of designated participants on the pro side. And a part of what they asked for in this motion was they said, hey, we would like communication between the DEA and
Oh.
Smart Approach for Cannabis. And if we don't get the communication that we're looking for, we would like to have an interlocutory appeal, which pretty much, to the best of my understanding, I have received no legal guidance on this. To the best of my understanding, it pretty much means that we're going to say that the hearing's unfair before it happens. So on the 6th, the motion was filed, and then what had ended up happening was I was a part of that motion, but I didn't find out about it until the 8th from a news article. So I've been working to clarify what is going on, why this has happened, and then how to clarify that I do agree that there is a need for transparency as it relates to the DEA and SAM, but I don't agree with the interlocutory appeal being an ultimatum that needs to be given to the DEA judge. So the DEA judge, administrative judge Mulrooney, looked at this and he said, hey, here's what I'm going to do. While everybody's figuring out whether or not we're going to do an interlocutory appeal or what's going on, I'm going to call a 90-day stay. And a stay means done. Everybody's done. Timeout until we figure out what's going on. He's saying we're not going to have the hearings. So tomorrow, I was hoping when we had initially made this interview, when
Yeah,
we
this call, yeah, we were
yeah,
supposed to be
I
talking
was
about
gonna be like, hey,
testifying.
tomorrow's the
Well, now you're
hearing,
not.
Dr. McNabb, we're gonna do it, we're gonna make the change, we're gonna be able to foster the conversations that are gonna allow for rescheduling, descheduling for the first time in 50 years, but instead we're in a very interesting place where we're now in a stay order, and the judge is waiting to see what the people that have filed the motion for the interlocutory appeal are going to do. So the crux is actually waiting to see what the happens with the interlocutory appeal, and if that's going to be pursued by this group of collective designated participants. And in the meantime, I have unconsolidated with that group of designated participants. I'm back on my own. So it's myself and Dr. McNabb, and we're looking to, reconsolidate. And I think that it's important that these conversations are fostered. And I don't think that with the way there's never going to be a perfect time to have this conversation. There's never going to be a perfect governing body. I don't think that every single person is always going to be, we're not going to have 100 satisfaction rate across the board for who got picked, who didn't get picked, and why. It's if you have the people here that are willing to do the work and put forth the witnesses with the most probative information to get the conversation started, so that way we can start to do research, we can talk about rescheduling. Our country is behind when we look at our neighbor to the north, when we look at Canada, that is completely federally regulated. And
Yeah.
we're going about this in a very interesting way with the notice of proposed rulemaking, where the government asked for the American public to come to them as opposed to the government coming to us. I think that it should have been, they should do the research and talk with some of the greatest minds like Dr. Marion McNabb, Dr. Stacey Gruber, Dr. Ryan Vandery, Dr. Grinspoon's son, so Dr. Grinspoon Jr. So some of our top people at Harvard that are doing the research, that are doing the PubMed studies, and then formulating that information to get us to where we need to be for full decriminalization or for full legalization, but not just descheduling, but or not just rescheduling, but descheduling. Because if we reschedule the Schedule 3, that's only like that's a Band-Aid on the
That's
problem. If we
bad.
go to Schedule 5, it's something, but it's really not what we want. We want to completely be descheduled, so that way we don't have any restrictions imposed on us by the federal government, and we can be the same as alcohol, tobacco, and that cannabis plant can really be fully studied, and we won't have to look for other plants that have similar cannabinoids. We can work with the cultivars that we have that do
Right.
count as cannabis. So right now, the answer is we're all waiting for the next 90 days, and we're going to see what Judge Mulrooney says. So we won't have a response until I think the middle of March. And in the middle of the March, I'll absolutely keep you updated. And
All right.
we're gonna keep fighting our good fight. So hopefully we will have the hearing, and hopefully we will be able to deschedule and not reschedule. But if rescheduling is what we have to work with, then we're gonna work very hard to, talk about 3, but push for 5.
All right. Give us real quick. How do we get in touch with you? I just given the word to sign off.
Greenpathtraining.com, Ellen Brown, Farmer Brown, and I look forward to connecting.
We love you, Ellen. Hopefully you can make it
Love
down
you,
for the grand
Joe.
opening. Lou, any
Yes.
last words?
Hey, just we're pushing forward, and I appreciate you. Just everybody, Ellen, we absolutely love you. Thank you again for everything that you've shared. You're rocking the space. And then I just want everybody to remember, stay happy, healthy, and high, my friends.
All right, everybody. Harry, hit the music. We're ready to go. Follow me at Joe the Weed Guy, at Green Haven Media, all social media. Green Connect. We'll see you Hannah Yoga down at the Grove if you want to hang out and have some fun with Joe the Weed Guy. I'll see you all later. Thank you so much. Keep fighting the good fight. We love you all. Peace.